What's up, Game Boys and Girls? Big T here, back with another video, and this should be a fun one. I was just looking at my collection and thinking that, wow, there's a lot of like spiritual successors on Twitch, and just kind of spiritual sequels, if you will. I kind of wanted to just do a video about them because a lot of them are pretty cool. So I have a bunch here. I'm sure there's more. Obviously, there's more. I don't have every one of them on Switch, but I have a pretty good little collection of them here. So let's start with the first one. That kind of isn't a spiritual successor to any particular game, but it's one to kind of like a multitude of different games, basically on NES, like an NES style game, and that is the the Shovel Knight series. I guess it's a series because there's different versions and whatnot, and different DLCs and whatnot. This is a treasure trove, which basically has everything in it. Shovel Knight is kind of Ghosts and Goblins feeling, but it's also like Castlevania sometimes. It has just a bunch of different types of feels from games of that era, NES, and it's awesome. I'm sure you guys know about Shovel Knight. It hit the indie scene as one of those big major indie games that came out some years ago. I can't believe how long ago it came out. I think it's close to 10 years now. It's getting up there. But yeah, when this first was announced and shown, I was like, this is really cool. Looks like games I used to play back on the NES back in the day, and it's pretty awesome. So you should definitely check it out if you're interested in games like that. This is also one of my favorites. I don't know if you may not have heard of this one as much. This is called Blazing Chrome. This is definitely a spiritual successor to the Contra series, in particular the Contra Hardcore on Sega Genesis, which I love. It's one of my favorite Contras. Nobody really talks about it that much. It's probably arguably the best Contra as far as just like difficulty and just like it's over the top craziness. And Blazing Chrome really captures the look of it, the feel of it, the boss battles that are over the top, just like the Sega Genesis game. Sega Genesis Contra Hardcore, and they really did a great job. I should have looked because it feels like it's so close that maybe it's the same developers, but it's really good. It's awesome. You should definitely check it out. And here's one I'm a little ashamed of, but I did not buy this game. I had in time. This is purchased for me. I'm not even sure if it was new when it came because it said new. My wife bought it. And it said new, but I think it came without shrink wrap, if I'm not mistaken, or it was open or something like that. So it probably wasn't even new, even though it said it on the listing that she bought it from. But this is basically a spiritual successor to Mario Sunshine, Super Mario Sunshine. This is just a 3D platformer, something that hadn't been made a whole lot at the time this came out, especially. It still isn't today. But this is a throwback to the yesteryear of the late 90s to early 2000s 3D platformers that you got. Like I said, Super Mario Sunshine. There was so many mascot 3D platformers that came out during the GameCube, PS2, Xbox era. And it's just hard to name them all. I'm trying to think of one. There's one with that little kid who has claws, which I really like that game. On GameCube, there's like the Thai Tasmanian Devil games, or the Boomerang. There's a bunch of them, and this is definitely a spiritual successor to that. This is a very good game, but like I said, I'm ashamed because of the story behind this, how the Nintendo fans who backed this game were treated. You can go look that up, but I didn't pay for it, so I guess there's that. And I also have it on Steam. In more misfortune, but I got it in like a humble bundle of like 50 games or something. So it is what it is. All right, and here's another one of those spiritual successors. Poi is definitely a spiritual successor to Super Mario 64. And again, when this came out, Odyssey wasn't out yet. I'm pretty sure it wasn't out yet, right? Odyssey came out in late 2017. This came out in... Oh my God, is there a date on here? I don't see one. Why is there no year? What? That's weird. I don't see a year. Usually there's some kind of copyright date on here, but I don't see one. But I think this came out before Odyssey. Well, anyway, this is a spiritual successor to Super Mario 64. I mean, this feels like Super Mario 64. It really does. But there's some sunshine elements as well, like even where you can climb on like grates or whatnot, like under it, and you can kind of do that kind of climbing thing that is in Sunshine. So it's both of them really, but really cool 3D platformer. Again, probably not a lot of people heard of it. Poi. Let's see if we can get it. My light is very bright here. There you go. Poi. All right, next one up. Undertale. Undertale is obviously and clearly a spiritual successor to the Mother series. I don't know which one you could say it's the closest to. Probably Earthbound, which is Mother 2. But it's definitely a spiritual successor to that series. Very good game. Obviously, I mean, everybody knows about Undertale. I think it won Game of the Year, or was he at least in the running when it came out. Again, this doesn't have a year on it. What the heck? Yeah, it does. 2015, 2017. I don't know when it must have came out in 2015. But yeah, this is a very cool game. You should definitely get it. I recommend physical, because I always recommend physical if you can find one. They're not. I don't think they're hard to find, but it could be at some point. So check it out. All right, next one is one of my favorites, and that is Sonic Mania for everything. Sonic Mania. This is Sonic Mania Plus. It has a reversible cover, I believe. Yeah, that's a reversible cover. So there's the other cover. There's the other side. That's the traditional cover, the original cover. This one's made to look like Sega Genesis, obviously. But yeah, this game is fantastic. This is probably the Sonic game we should have gotten on the Sega Saturn. It definitely feels like that. There's Sonic games on the Sega Saturn, but none of them are original. They're always collections or ports. We never got an original Sonic game, and if you know anything about it, there was a troubled development cycle on the Saturn to get a Sonic game. They wanted a 3D one, and go look up, Sonic, 3D game on Sega Saturn. I'm sure you'll find a bunch of little mini documentaries about it. But they probably should just went with a 2D one with some 3D elements, like this game does fantastically. And Sonic says Sonic is back on the back there, and Sonic totally came back with this game. Because we know the history of Sonic games. If you're not a hardcore Sonic fan and in denial, but yeah, so it's kind of a sequel, but it's also a spiritual successor. So there you go. Here's one of the biggest spiritual successors of our generation, and that is Yooka-Laylee, made by a lot of the people who made Banjo-Kazooie. This is from Playtonic. This was supposed to be, like I said, Banjo-Kazooie, but unfortunately, this feels more like in excess of Banjo-Tooie. Banjo-Kazooie is the superior game in that series. It's very tight as far as the gameplay goes, as far as the levels go. Banjo-Tooie, in rare fashion, they wanted to like really go out and crazy and expand the game and expand the worlds and just push things, because that's what Rare did, and that's cool. I'm fine with that. They're very ambitious, and but this was just Banjo-Tooie was just too much, and this is beyond that. This is between Banjo-Tooie and, dare I say, Donkey Kong 64. Beautiful graphics, great characters, all that stuff is great, but the worlds are just a bit too excessive, and it doesn't have that tight gameplay. Collectibles lead you to it's a secret or something like that, and they didn't really do that with this game. I like it. I didn't love it. After the initial nostalgia wore off for me playing it, I realized that this is. And again, there's nothing wrong with Donkey Kong 64. Nothing wrong with Banjo-Tooie. They just were too excessive as far as expansive as far as what they were trying to do. It didn't have the tight, gameplay, tight worlds that Banjo-Kazooie had, and but I still love both of those games. But this is a really good spiritual successor. Like I said, just has some quirks. It has some quirks with it. But I still recommend it. If you're a fan of 3D platformers, I recommend you getting this. Playtonic, I'm glad they're out there. I hope they do more. I'd like to see a spiritual successor to Jet Force Gemini or something like that, or even GoldenEye, right? Perfect Dark. So yeah, and here's the sequel to that game, and it's funny because this is more of a spiritual successor to the Donkey Kong Country series, or Donkey Kong Country Returns and Tropical Freeze. This feels a lot more like those games as a 2D side-scrolling game, and it feels like the weight of the character, all that stuff. The gameplay of Donkey Kong Country is definitely in this. This is a better representation of its successor, or the spiritual successor is trying to do. This is better comparison to Donkey Kong Country than, say, Yooka-Laylee, the first one, is to Banjo-Kazooie. If that makes any sense. But yeah, this is a really good game. Tough. I have not beaten it yet, but it's dope. All right, next up is The Messenger. This one's hard to peg because this is another game that feels like a bunch of different games in its era that's trying to mimic. And the area again is the NES. This, if you just look at it, it looks like Ninja Gaiden, and that's what I think the spiritual successor it is too. But the gameplay is not quite Ninja Gaiden. Is not just completely Ninja Gaiden. It does go in other directions. Like I said, it feels like other NES titles, like even like Mega Man and stuff. But yeah, this is great. Hilarious. This game surprised me at how funny it is. Like the writing in it is really funny. It's really self-aware, which I loved. But yeah, this game is expensive, I believe. Well, if you buy it digitally, it's pretty okay. But trying to find a physical copy of this, you're spending 150 plus. It's insane. On Switch anyway. I don't know what it is on other consoles, but on Switch is that. I didn't pay that, but yeah, it's crazy. I bought the... Is it in here? Probably not. No. I bought the cart only, and it was expensive at that point. I think I paid like $75 just for the cart only. And this is custom artwork on here, and it looks really cool. And it looks like the cover. So that's something you can do as well if you're not crazy about getting the original artwork and the original stuff. You can do something like that. Save yourself some money. All right, here we go. Angry Video Game Nerd. What is it called? Just a video game. 1 and 2 Deluxe. This originally launched on the previous gen. I got this on Wii U, just digitally, and I had to get it physically when it came out. That it was going to come. That when it was announced that it was going to be physical, I had to get this, and it has both games. I only have one on Wii U, first one. So again, Angry Video Game Nerd, about the character James, the personality, and the guy who plays him, James Rolfe. He has a well-known YouTube channel. I don't need to talk about that, but this is definitely like if you know his humor, it's kind of like in jokes, in humor about NES era games that had just crazy difficulties and just weird things. He incorporates that in these games. They're very good, even without knowing who he is and knowing his character and all that stuff. It's still, these are very fun shooter platformers, and I love them. So I would definitely highly recommend Angry Video Game Nerd, the video game. Oh, here's one that's really hard for me to peg as far as like what it's a successor to. I feel like Shadowrun, it has that kind of feel, but it's definitely like Super Nintendo era. Like sometimes it reminds me of like RoboCop versus the Terminator. Just basically action platformer shooters of the 16-bit era. This is so good. The music is so good. The sound design, amazing. The controls, it's just really fun to play. I highly recommend this. I feel like this is going to be rare at some point. Now, you can probably see on some of these that they're sealed, and how are you playing these games? How do you know? I have this digitally as well on Switch, but I also have it on Steam Deck, and that's what I do. Like if I feel like a game is going to be like a big deal rare later on, which I feel Hunt Down might be, or just for the collection purposes. I don't want to open it, and I can still play it by buying the game physically and then buying a digital version, especially during a Steam sale. But sometimes I like a game so much, I don't mind paying double for it for the indie studio. It's usually an indie company thing, where I do that, because obviously the games are cheaper, but also I just like to help out the indie studios. And so I'll buy a digital version and I'll buy a physical version and keep it sealed. But this game is so good. If you like 2D action platformers, with shooting elements and whatnot, you get different weapons. It's kind of Contra-ish, but it's not as fast paced as Contra. It's kind of slower, but it's good. It's really good. Hunt Down. Now, I don't hear anybody talk about this game. I don't know why. It is very good. Oh yeah, here's another one. That's a spiritual successor to Contra, but specifically Contra 3 Alien Wars on Super Nintendo. This is phenomenal. So it has that top-down view that Contra Alien Wars has, but at times the certain levels it gets different, like your viewpoint and whatnot, and you do like turret levels and stuff like that. It mixes it up, just like Contra Alien Wars did, Contra 3 on Super Nintendo, and this is fantastic. So this goes hand in hand with what's the game? I can't remember the name of the freaking game. Blazing Chrome. This goes hand in hand with Blazing Chrome. This is a nice 1-2 punch for Contra fans, for the Switch and other consoles as well. Also on PC, Steam. It is a great 1-2 punch combo. It's great stuff. So I highly recommend this game. If you're a Contra fan especially, I think you'll get a kick out of it. It's great. Oh yeah, Oceanhorn. Here's another really expensive game. At least it was last time I checked. This is a sealed copy, and it's going to remain sealed. But I bought this initially on Switch digitally, because that's all they had at the time, and they came out with physical copies later, and I grabbed them, as soon as I could get one. This is a spiritual successor to like A Link to the Past, or even it looks closer in line to like the remake of oh my god, what is it called? Why am I going blank? I turn the lights on and I go blank. Link's Awakening. This is like visually it looks closer to Link's Awakening, with a mixture of like even Wind Waker, because I think the character, he has a blue tunic. He has a blue tunic. You can see that. Obviously, he looks like Link, but they're not hiding it. They know that this is a kind of like I said, a homage to Zelda games, and it very much feels like Zelda games. So there's a lot of, this game has sailing in it, so like I said, it has some Wind Waker elements too, along with being A Link to the Past meets Link's Awakening. So this is very cool, a very good game. There's a sequel out. It first came out on iOS, so I was upset about that, but it is digitally now on Switch, and it's coming to Steam at some point. It says coming soon or something, so it's going to be on Steam soon. But I heard that one was really good. Shout outs to RGT85. I think he did a review on it, because I was looking forward to this game the minute they showed it off, and I was like, this looks great, because it's more 3D. This is more of a kind of isometric top-down kind of view, but the sequel is full-on 3D, and it looks great. So yeah, looking forward to that. Oh, here we go with another one. Kaze and the Wild Masks. I think that's how you pronounce it, Kaze. There you go. Freaking lights. This is another Donkey Kong Country spiritual successor. It's great. The visuals are beautiful, gorgeous. Everything just looks great in this game and feels great. This definitely feels like a fan of Donkey Kong Country series really got meticulous and trying to understand the mechanics of those games, and they made their own copy or their own version of it, and this is fantastic. It's visually beautiful, gameplay is great, and just wonderful. Kaze and the Wild Masks. Here's a game I haven't really played yet. I played a little bit because I have it on Steam as well, Steam Deck. This is another, when I say spiritual successor to Donkey Kong Country, 2D side scrolling, whatnot. I haven't played it all that much yet, so I can't give a. I like how it looks, and I've heard good things. It's got good reviews. So, can I recommend it personally yet? No, but I think it's a sure bet. I love platformers. It's my favorite genre. So, how you pronounce it? I think it's Marsupilami Huba Adventure. So, be on the lookout for that. All right, second to last. This is like I said, this is spiritual successors and sequels. This is a sequel I never saw coming. I don't think anybody did, and that is Cruis'n Blast. I can't believe they made a sequel to Cruis'n USA, Cruis'n World. When did this come out? Last year, 2021. Was it 2020? I can't remember. Let's see. Let's look on the back here. I think it was 2021. This is a sealed copy, but I also have an open copy that I play on. So I bought two because I was just so happy, and I think they dropped the price at some point. There was a sale on it, so I got another copy. But yeah, this is amazing. This is great. The theme music gives me goosebumps. Cruising, come on, cruising. It's beautiful, and it feels great. It feels like cruising. It's beautiful. Like the graphics are just like neon explosion in your eyeballs. It's great, man. I love this game. I don't know what to say. I mean, if you know Cruis'n, you know what this is. Just over the top racing game. Great. All right. And finally, last but not least, I just got this in yesterday, 2 days ago. And that is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. And this is the limited I forget what they call this one. This is it doesn't say it on the box. It usually does. What version this is. It's some kind of collector's edition, but it looks like a VHS tape, which is beautiful. Beautiful. But yes, I love this game. I mean, it's very much in the line with the Turtles games on Super Nintendo. With that said, it's a little safe. It's not like what, let's say, Streets of Rage did with Streets of Rage 4, where they just, they expanded on what those games were, but they especially art-wise, they went a whole new direction with it, and I think it was better for it. I think a lot of people love that. And this is very safe. This is very much in line, but that's fine because those games were great, and this one is as well. And highly recommend this for fans of beat-em-ups, side-scrolling beat-em-ups from back in the day. This is a great one, so yeah, check it out, guys. I mean, you know what this is about. It is Shredder's Revenge. And they just came out with a compilation of the Turtles games. Also, the collection, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles collection. So yeah, that's it for this one, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Are any of these games that are on your radar that you already own yet? I love, most of these were 2D platformers, but and shooters and whatnot, platformer shooters, and those are some of my favorite games of all time. Those are some of the games I started gaming with, because that was the big games in those times, was platformers and side-scrolling shooters, space shooters and whatnot too. So yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Thank you again for watching and listening, and I will see you fools next time. Peace out.